Let's get some more insight into the impact of tariffs and inflation on the beauty industry. We're joined by Aishetu Fatima Dozie. She is the CEO of Bossy Cosmetics. Love that name. And great to have you on our program as well.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Let's talk about this a little more broadly. What other trends do you believe that we are seeing across the beauty industry?
Sure. I mean, it's a really tough time, as you just said. We haven't officially been, named to be in a recession, but beauty entrepreneurs, we're feeling it from both sides. Consumers are absolutely petrified with their shrinking, pocketbooks. And then on the other side, from a supply chain perspective, many of us import our goods from lower cost environments. And with tariffs, we're being squeezed from a margin standpoint. So it's a pretty tricky time for beauty entrepreneurs to figure out what to do, because it's very hard to pass, the increase in prices and costs to the customer, because the customer themselves are being squeezed. So it's a really difficult time for consumers and for small businesses.
What about your company? What have you seen so far, or what kind of concerns do you have out there for the immediate future?
Well, I'm concerned about so many things, right? Because I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I'm also a business owner. And I feel I'm being squeezed on every part of things. My supply chain, my primary packaging is made in China, and then those packages are then shipped to northern Italy, where my contract manufacturing is. And those are two environments that are really being, hit by tariffs, China as well as the European Union. And so when I get those types of cost increases and then shipping the goods to come down to the US, I can go anywhere from 30 to 60% cost margin pressure for a very small business. It's almost impossible to pass that on to the consumer, because the consumer is facing cost increases on milk. They can't find eggs. They can't find everything that they need that are basic sort of things for their families, much less thinking about discretionary spending. And historically in the beauty industry, I make color cosmetics. We've always talked about the lipstick effect, the lipstick index, which is when goods and services are really expensive in times of recession, women tend to focus on more affordable luxuries, and that tends to be color cosmetics, because you can buy, a lipstick for $10, $15, $20, and it feels like a luxury. You're not spending $200, $400. Well, when consumers are being so squeezed that they can't even buy food and clothing for their families, even $10 purchases of lipstick become a luxury. So it's a really challenging time for beauty companies. And I'm just really hoping that, this current administration thinks about, a lot of these decisions they're making and how it impacts the entire economy.
And Aishetu, while we were chatting, we were seeing a lot of women getting their hair colored. And as the father of two daughters who are blonde out of the bottle, I can identify with recession hair. And this is mainly taken up by people who are trying to save money. But what about celebs? Because clearly people kind of mimic what they do as well.
Well, I think the thing, and I've always said, our company, Bossy Cosmetics, is, we want to see celebrity culture in individuals. We don't just aspire to the most famous people out there. We tell women that you can be bossy on your own. And I think for celebrities, we have no insight into what they're really doing. Are they spending $2,000 on their hair, or are they going to drugstores like I did to dye my hair blonde? Many celebrities don't actually spend their own money, because they are influencers and they are promoting major brands. And so I think people are getting smarter about the way they spend their money. Go to CVS, go to Rite Aid, go to a drugstore and buy, a $7 blonde bleach and do it yourself, as opposed to going to the salon and spending multiple hundreds of dollars because you want to look like a celebrity that's much richer than you and isn't actually spending their own cash.
Okay, what countries do you think most of the beauty supplies used in the United States come from, and the impact that tariffs are having right now, and also could very well have within the next 75 or 80 days?
I mean, without a doubt, China. China has been, and I think, we're not going to go into the economics of comparative advantage, but as the world began to open up over the last number of decades, it became very clear who had a competitive advantage in manufacturing. And so small businesses like mine, I can't create a manufacturing plant, in Detroit or in Ohio. I have to find somebody who can make small batch products at a very affordable level. And China has done that for the small smallest of businesses like mine, as well as the largest businesses, right? And then China buys things from the US. So it's been very quid pro quo. Most beauty companies I know, our physical packaging is made in China. Now, Europe has been a very big center for cosmetic production. A lot of color cosmetics, fragrances are all, made out of Europe, and then everything is shipped into the US. So I think we're going to see a lot of pressure coming out of China because of what's been going on with the tariffs. But luckily, we're seeing signals from the Trump administration. I believe it was a week or two ago, there was a lot of negotiation in Europe with the Chinese trade delegation. And so we're hoping that, a lot of this noise in the system calms down and we go back to, an area of which we can afford to buy products from countries that have comparative advantages like China.